Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Wrestling Entertainment. This is Joel Perez here for your Elimination Chamber 2018 preview and predictions. Yes, that's right. We're talking everything Elimination Chamber in this video, everything having to do with this pay-per-view. That means we're going to be discussing the quality of Monday Night Raw, because it is a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. The quality of Monday Night Raw going into this pay-per-view, the build to this pay-per-view, the build to the matches on this very pay-per-view. We're going to be discussing who I think is going to win those matches, who I want to win those matches, because there is a difference there, that difference being who I think WWE is going to put over and who I would like them to put over, because WWE usually does something very, very dumb, and we're going to be trying to predict that, as well as what my actual predictions are, as well as what these matches and their outcomes will have to do going into the future of the WWE, and this being the final Monday Night Raw exclusive pay-per-view before WrestleMania. Clearly this pay-per-view has a lasting effect on what we are going to see at the WrestleMania 34 pay-per-view, because the winner of the Elimination Chamber will decide, at least the men's Elimination Chamber, will decide who goes on to face Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 34. The winner of the Women's Elimination Chamber will be most likely the Women's Champion going into WrestleMania 34, as well as things like Ronda Rousey and her contract signing, which is being rumored to be the show closer for this pay-per-view, which absolutely boggles my mind. We're going to be talking about that in this preview and predictions as well. But of course, before we do get into all of that, I just want to make sure to tell you guys to make sure to go check out all the other content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. This is actually quite a loaded week of content on the channel, because of course you had your Elimination Chamber pay-per-view this week, or you have it upcoming this week, I should say. No past tense there, but you had past tense Monday Night Raw and Smackdown live reviews go up like they do each and every single week. Monday Night Raw, your go-home show to the Elimination Chamber. Huge 7-man gauntlet matchup, which pretty much redefined Seth Rollins as a main event player on the Monday Night Raw brand. Make sure to go check out the Monday Night Raw review. Very good stuff on there. Not so much for Smackdown Live. That show was absolutely god-awful, piss-poor, and we go on a scathing rant to address that in our Smackdown Live review. The worst show on television is what I am now referring Smackdown to as. Way worse than Monday Night Raw, for sure. And there's actually going to be news on Behind the Mic this weekend, on Saturday, where we talk about all the news in the WWE on Smackdown Live and their low ticket sales and their low attendance numbers, and how that could lead to the end of the brand split. So there's big news coming this weekend on Behind the Mic. Make sure to expect that, as well as your Sunday video, which will be a review of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. So it's a loaded week, as well as on Monday, you got a video before Monday Night Raw talking about the Elimination Chamber itself and why I believe Braun Strowman should win the Elimination Chamber over the predicted Roman Reigns. It's pretty much inevitable that Roman Reigns is going to win the Elimination Chamber. We go on a 20-minute rant about how Roman Reigns isn't the man and Strowman should be the man. Monday Night Raw pretty much denied us of Strowman winning, because he did come out victorious in that gauntlet match, and Reigns was eliminated first, which pretty much details to us that Reigns is going to win the Elimination Chamber, because it's 50-50 booking all around in the WWE. But we will talk about that in a little bit more detail when we do get to the Elimination Chamber matchup on this show. I'm going to discuss a little bit of what I was talking about in that video, not to the full extent and the full detail that we went to in that 20-minute video before Monday Night Raw, which I think you should totally go check out before you watch this video. but we will go into a little bit detail on that, as well as after watching Monday Night Raw, another winner who could possibly come out of the Elimination Chamber, and that being Seth Rollins. I think WWE, with what they did on Monday night, has solidified that Seth Rollins could be one of the men going into the WrestleMania 34 pay-per-view for the Universal Championship. It would be a solid idea, but I'm going to get to the asterisk next to that idea. It's not just going to be Rollins versus Lesnar. That's not a matchup that sells itself. We will talk about what that is, but before we do get into all of that, for the final time, I just want to tell you guys to make sure to like this video if you enjoy what you hear here. Make sure to comment what your thoughts are and what your predictions are going into the Elimination Chamber. Who's going to win the matchup? Are you going with Roman Reigns? Are you going with Strowman? Are you going with Rollins? Are you going with Miz? Are you going with Balor? Are you going with whoever the hell else is in that matchup? I have no idea. Make sure to leave your predictions in the comment section below. Who do you think is winning the Women's Elimination Chamber? Do you think Bliss will retain? Do you think they can go with a possible Black Horse prediction and do a Bayley? Maybe continue on the trend that Sasha Banks is in? Make sure to leave your comments in the comment section below. And finally, I just want to tell you guys to subscribe to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel for content just like this each and every single week. Is pay-per-view reviews, behind the mic, Monday Night Raw, Smackdown Live, the preview and predictions that you're watching right here, NXT TakeOver reviews, breaking news stories, something of which you saw on Monday, which is a little rant video for 20 minutes. We do all that, everything regarding the WWE right here on Ringside Wrestling Entertainment. So make sure to subscribe, because for now we're going to go straight into your Elimination Chamber preview and predictions. And I'm going to start like we always start, and that's talking the quality of SmackDown Live, or Monday Night Raw I should say, going into this pay-per-view, as well as the build to this pay-per-view. And I mean, it's been a basic build to the Elimination Chamber. There are certain things that I wish WWE would have done a lot differently. For example, the qualifying matches and the way they handled the qualifying matches could have been handled a lot better. Right off the bat, WWE, the first week out of the Royal Rumble, the first night right after the Royal Rumble, they immediately gave us 3 qualifying matches. That was Braun Strowman versus Kane in an ambulance match. That was Matt Hardy and I believe Elias as well. That was Matt Hardy and Elias. And it was John Cena and Finn Balor. John Cena and Finn Balor is where I find my issue. They gave a quality matchup that is pay-per-view worthy. You could have had that matchup at the Royal Rumble if you wanted to. You could put that matchup on a WrestleMania 34 card, and I don't think many people would be complaining. That's a WrestleMania worthy matchup. Yet they just give it away, no build, no announcement, nothing to capitalize on the marquee matchup that is. What they should have done was announce that matchup that Monday night after the Royal Rumble for the next week, and have it be so there's some time stretch before a matchup of that magnitude happens. Another thing they did completely wrong is that they had 3 men, Braun Strowman, Elias, and John Cena, go into a triple threat match, I believe the next week on Monday Night Raw, the week after the show coming out of the Royal Rumble, and they had these men fighting for an opportunity to come in last in the Elimination Chamber. And I find that absolutely ridiculous, because at that point, the other 3 men in the matchup hadn't even qualified yet. There were only 3 men who were given the opportunity. Why were John Cena, Elias, and Braun Strowman given that opportunity, and not Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, or Finn Balor, and the other person, The Miz? Why weren't they given that opportunity as well? As a matter of fact, you had a gauntlet matchup, a 7-man gauntlet matchup on Monday Night Raw that went 2 hours, and wouldn't that have been a better matchup than it already was? It was already a great matchup, but wouldn't that have been a much better matchup if you would have had all 7 men in your Elimination Chamber competing for the right to come into the Elimination Chamber last? Wouldn't that matchup have gotten more incentive than it already had, instead of all these men putting their bodies on the line on Monday night, a week before the Elimination Chamber, for no reason? Those are just things I found gripes with. I really, really did. So they could have done a lot of things better as far as the men go. I wouldn't have had Finn Balor lose to John Cena on that Monday night. I mean, he went 57 minutes or whatever the hell it was in the Royal Rumble, and then he came on the next night to lose to John Cena just to qualify in a second chance fatal 4-way, which Seth Rollins was added to. And then there was some dumb referee decision where the referee clearly was able to see that both Rollins and Balor were pinning Wyatt, yet he still went for the double count for some goddamn reason. I have no idea why. It came across as absolutely ridiculous, and here we are at a 7-man elimination chamber. Why is this elimination 7 men? It comes across as WWE, first of all, wanting to make this the year of first time evers. First time ever Women's Royal Rumble. First time ever 7-man Elimination Chamber. First time ever Women's Elimination Chamber. First time ever 7-man Gauntlet match. First time ever that a matchup on Monday Night Raw has gone 2 hours. It's like they want to throw all these first time evers in your face, and they are sidelining storyline continuation. There you go, that's the word. And they're completely just curtailing logic, and it comes across as dumb. It really, really does. So WWE really found themselves in a bit of a pickle when it comes to the 7-man elimination chamber, because to me, the other reason is that they did this is because it makes the elimination chamber so that Roman Reigns can come in, win, and he has the accolade that he not only beat 5 other men in the Elimination Chamber, now that there's 7 men, he beat 6 other men in the Elimination Chamber, and that's the accolade that you're going to give to Roman Reigns. He came out from the ashes, and he lost his Intercontinental Championship, and he lost the Royal Rumble. He was there at the end, and he was thrown out by Nakamura, and all this defeat for Roman Reigns. But at the end of the day, he came back, he rose from the ashes, and he's going to WrestleMania. That's the dumb story you want to tell. And that's the reason that WWE, the main reason, at least to me, that WWE did this 7-man elimination chamber. 1, for another first time ever. 2, to get Roman Reigns that nice little accolade on his resume, because WWE loves their spice of Roman Reigns. And it comes across as absolutely ridiculous right there. As far as the women's elimination chamber goes, I have no idea what they're doing with the women. The women are in an absolute clusterfuck on both Monday Night Raw and Smackdown Live. Smackdown Live, way worse so, but on Monday Night Raw, to a same extent. And that's because these women, always in 6-woman tags, tag team matches. I don't care about most of the women on your brand. I'm surprised that they've kept me liking Asuka so much. I still like Asuka as much as I did when she came in from NXT. I'm so shocked that they're still able to keep the same essence that Asuka had in NXT, because what they're doing with the rest of their women's division is the complete opposite. First of all, it makes absolutely no goddamn sense that Asuka won the Women's Royal Rumble, and she had to go through 29 other women in the Royal Rumble, and here you have Nia Jax, for no goddamn reason, hasn't been featured on television, and keyword featured on television, in a while, and you mean to tell me Nia Jax, she was in the Royal Rumble, she lost her opportunity, Asuka fought 29 other women, and there are other women as well fighting inside an Elimination Chamber matchup for the right to win the Women's Championship. Women who don't even deserve to be in an Elimination Chamber. That's a completely other story that we will get to when we're talking about the Women's Elimination Chamber, by the way. But you mean to tell me that Nia Jax, who did absolutely nothing to warrant herself a opportunity at a Women's Championship, and she not only did nothing to warrant an opportunity at a Women's Championship, She did nothing to warrant skipping over everything else, skipping over an Elimination Chamber, skipping over the Royal Rumble in order to be gifted this matchup with Asuka, where if she beats Asuka, she's all of a sudden boosted into the main event of WrestleMania 34. That makes absolutely zero sense in and of itself right there. Whoever thought of that one is an absolute buffoon. And on top of that, you have this women's division tag team matchups, 6 women tags each and every single week. What did Mandy Rose do to deserve being in an Elimination Chamber match? What did Sonya Deville do to deserve being in an Elimination Chamber matchup for your women's championship? Only woman who really deserves to be fighting inside an Elimination Chamber for that women's championship is realistically Sasha Banks, who went 55 minutes inside that women's Royal Rumble matchup. Yet you're going to spew me the garbage that Mickie James, who hasn't been featured on television in God knows how long, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, who can barely goddamn perform in that goddamn ring, they're warranted a women's championship matchup. I don't believe any of that. I don't, and it comes across as absolutely ridiculous, as that's the position you have them in. And then on top of that, you have the tag team division, which is non-existent. Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan. Jordan's out. You pretty much have The Bar, The Revival, and Gallows and Anderson. Gallows and Anderson and The Revival trade wins back and forth every week, are legitimate as a goddamn goldfish in that ring with the way you're booking them. And then you have The Bar holding the tag team titles in a division with pretty much no teams. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Have no idea what you're going to do going into the Elimination Chamber. I believe that in this pay-per-view, I'm not sure if they announced it or not, but they're going to be doing Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil versus The Bar for the Tag Team Championships, because they have nothing else. They have absolutely nothing else, and it is ridiculous. It really, really is ridiculous in that attempt. But that's pretty much everything on Monday Night Raw. Then you have Matt Hardy. Don't even get me started on Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt. Absolutely stale feud. Nothing going on there. Monday Night Raw continues to be a 3-hour pile of hot garbage. And now they're trying to put on decent television, but WWE's booking doesn't allow them to. So, Monday Night Raw, really not in the best shape it's ever been. It's not absolutely terrible. Smackdown Live is where you're going to look at right now to see absolutely terrible. But, I mean, as far as Monday Night Raw goes, it continues to be the same old garbage that we've seen in 2017, 16, 15, 14. They do not know how to present us good, intriguing, logical television. And it is absolutely ridiculous that at this point they don't know how to do that. So that's pretty much the situation with the build to the Elimination Chamber and the quality of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, Monday Night Raw I should say, going into the Elimination Chamber. That's pretty much all I got for you right there. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into the first matchup on this show that we're going to be covering, and that is going to be Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt. So this matchup, I mean, realistically, WWE has completely tarnished and screwed up what the broken Matt Hardy character was supposed to be. And I mean, it was really inevitable. I don't know what hope we were clinging on to realistically, because WWE was always never going to do something interesting with the Matt Hardy character. And we should have seen that coming from a mile away. What have they done to guys who had so much life invigorated in them in other companies or in NXT? They've absolutely sucked that away. Look what they did with guys like Tyler Breeze. Finn Balor on Monday Night Raw is a perfect example. He has no life within him. Bray Wyatt, the very man he's feuding against, is a perfect example of that. WWE had and still has, they can still replenish this, a gold mine in Woken Matt Hardy. And going into this pay-per-view, all I see is WWE's failure. Their failure to execute and create creative ideas which is what this gimmick needs, which is what this gimmick feeds off of. Creative ideology. And WWE is using none of that. We haven't seen a single reveal of a Woken Matt Hardy compound, or the Woken Hardy household, or Rebby, or Maxwell, King Maxwell, Queen Rebecca. None of that. We haven't seen any of that. We haven't seen a cool backstage vignette. We've seen absolutely none of it. None of that. We have not seen any of it. And it's quite frankly stupid that we haven't. I mean, that's what made this character so awesome. You'd see all these funny and creative and different and unique things that you hadn't seen in a long time in the wrestling world, and that's what Matt Hardy was really bringing to us with the broken Matt Hardy character. And WWE had a chance, they still do have a chance, to invigorate that into their own product. Yet it doesn't seem to be like they're taking that chance. It seems like they're leaving a opportunity to sell a lot of merchandise and create a universe that's really different and that they can really fulfill their creative juices into. But I feel like this is another case of it's not WWE, so you know what? We're not going to put the full effort that we should into it. And that's just silly, bro. It really is just silly, and I don't believe that, bro. I mean, what you could have done with a Bray Wyatt Matt Hardy feud and what you have done with the Bray Wyatt Matt Hardy feud, I mean, we literally see the same backstage interaction between them on the Go Home show to the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view in February that we seen when this gimmick started in the beginning of December. If that is not ridiculous to you, I don't know what it is, bro. Oh my god, that is stupid. It's so ridiculous, it's stupid, bro. My god, it was entertaining as hell the first week. It looked like they were gonna do something good the first week. Then you go to Raw 25, it's Bray Wyatt versus Matt Hardy, and Bray Wyatt hits Matt Hardy with the Sister Abigail after 4 minutes in the Manhattan Center, and it's 1, 2, 3, he's done. And that was the beginning of the end for this gimmick. It really was. You're on Raw, the night after the Royal Rumble, he loses to Elias after a silly distraction from Bray Wyatt. I mean, are you serious? Are you serious with what you're doing with this gimmick? You can be doing so much more. The ceiling is so high. Yet you continue to bring out your lowest potential and show us that you're not worth a shit. And it's terrible. This was supposed to be a feud when we first went into it that Bray Wyatt would be in the limelight and it would bring him back to relevancy because of how on fire this feud was supposed to be. This feud was supposed to be on fire. It was supposed to be the Woken Matt Hardy gimmick brought to the big stage in the WWE, and the t-shirts are selling like crazy, and the catchphrases are being sung throughout the entire arena, and Bray Wyatt is associated with that, and even though he takes the loss whenever they do go, it brings him to relevancy because of that. WWE has failed to do that. They've kept Matt Hardy as this basic jobber, and they have stripped away so much of what made this gimmick great in TNA. And that is ridiculous. I hope that WWE does the right thing and gives the victory to Matt Hardy in this matchup. That's what they need to do. Hopefully they take this to WrestleMania and we see some more creative work done for WWE. Maybe Bray Wyatt introduces the rest of the Woken universe that he introduced in TNA. Maybe they do go on and have a final deletion type match at WrestleMania 34. Maybe they do entertain us. Maybe the chants do catch on again. But WWE, compared to all the fanfare that this gimmick had coming in, has really found a way to make that all die down. And that's not how it should be. Hopefully Matt Hardy wins. I'm predicting that he will win. But I'm not sure which way WWE is going to go here. I was utterly shocked when Matt Hardy lost at Raw 25 to Bray Wyatt, and I'm sure that WWE, with the way they book things, wouldn't have a problem doing that again. Hopefully they do go on and do something better than what they have done, but for right now, I'm not impressed, bro. I am the farthest thing from impressed. For now, ladies and gentlemen, we move on here to the predictions for the Nia Jax and Asuka match. Now, this matchup is probably not going to be good. From what I've seen between Nia Jax and Asuka in the past, I mean, they had that good matchup, nothing too amazing, at an NXT TakeOver back in like 2016. It was alright for an NXT TakeOver matchup. It was alright. When you go to NXT TakeOver, you really expect something great. They had a couple more matches on NXT television, normal NXT television. Bad matches. I mean, what they did on Monday Night Raw the other week was just, I mean, you're not interested in it. Nia Jax and Asuka, they don't mesh well. I mean, I think if they really tried very hard, they can put on a good match at best, Nia Jax and Asuka. But I really don't care about what's going on here. All I care about is Asuka keeping her undefeated streak and going on to WrestleMania and challenging Charlotte. That's the way it should be. I feel like WWE is going to find some way to make this a screwy finish. Somebody's going to interfere. It's going to be Alexa Bliss interfering. I have heard some people throw the name out of Ronda Rousey interfering in this matchup. I don't think they're going to go to that extent where a Ronda Rousey is going to interfere, but I say just give Asuka the clean win over Nia Jax. Give her that big milestone win going into WrestleMania. Have Bayley win the Elimination Chamber, and have Bayley and Sasha, due to Sasha's jealousy, turn Sasha heel, have them go into WrestleMania 34 with an actual Women's Championship feud, instead of Nia and Alexa, which I do not see being a good match whatsoever, and at the same time, you have really no interest from anybody. Alexa's Women's Championship reign might as well be over as far as interest goes, because WWE has kept her from defending her title since goddamn October, which is as ridiculous as it sounds. The fact that a champion hasn't defended her title in October, then they want to book Alexa Bliss to go out there and say that Brock Lesnar doesn't have to defend his championship at the goddamn Elimination Chamber, and she has. And it's just one of the worst written segments in Monday Night Raw in a long time. That was disgusting, bro. What a terrible goddamn segment that was. Holy shit. And speaking of Monday Night Raw, this is something I didn't mention. Kurt Angle is terrible when it comes to speaking on Monday Night Raw. Holy crap. He botches at least one line a night, does Mr. Kurt Angle. Holy crap. Anyways, that's besides the point. Nia Jax versus Asuka. If WWE goes and ends the undefeated streak of Asuka just to plug Nia Jax into whatever their plans are at WrestleMania, you have got to be kidding me. That will be rage. That will be a lot of rage right there. You're going to hear a big rant from me. That's going to be absolutely ridiculous. Like I said before, I don't even think Nia Jax should be in this matchup, in this position to begin with. Clearly what WWE is going to go for, or at least what's been rumored, is going for Alexa versus Nia. So if that's going to be the case, if they're going to go with Bliss versus Nia, then what I'm guessing is that, I mean, realistically, this is going to be a fuck finish, and you're going to see something go down where you can viably say, yeah, Nia still deserves to be in that position. Asuka didn't lose, but Nia still deserves to be in the position where she's vying for a women's championship match. They'll go ahead. They'll do whatever they have to with that. It's going to be Nia and Alexa, and I think Asuka's going to challenge Charlotte at WrestleMania 34 for the women's championship, and you're going to have what you got to do there, which will ultimately be the real women's championship match at WrestleMania. If it was up to me, you'd do Sasha versus Bayley, and you'd have Charlotte versus Asuka, and you'd have two great women's matches at WrestleMania. But that's something I'll discuss further when we're talking about the women's Elimination Chamber. But for now, I'm predicting that there's going to be some type of screwy finish here. If not, I'm more than fine. I'd actually be happier with Asuka. What I want to happen is that Asuka wins this matchup clean. Nia is not in WrestleMania plans because she realistically doesn't need to be. She realistically could be in plans for the Women's Championship after WrestleMania, and it would be absolutely fine. I don't think anybody would mind, and you can just go ahead and do that. But I don't know what WWE's plans are. I hope they are more along the lines of what I'm saying, but just going off what WWE has done in the past and what they're doing with the women's division now, I mean, I don't expect them to do anything good at all. So for now, that's what I think of that. We move on to talking about Ronda Rousey drying the ink on her WWE Monday Night Raw contract. Now, I don't understand why this has to be on pay-per-view at all. I find it absolutely ridiculous that they're just going to keep her on the pay-per-views from at least what we're seeing now. I think Ronda should appear on a Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania 34. I think it would come across as insane if they did not put Ronda Rousey at least on Monday Night Raw. That'd be ratings if you'd promote Ronda to be on a Monday Night Raw. It really would be ratings. But apparently, they put Ronda on the pay-per-view so she could sell tickets. And ticket sales did go up a little bit after Ronda did appear on the she was listed for the pay-per-view, but realistically, this pay-per-view isn't even sold out yet, and apparently she's going to be the main event. She's going to be closing the show, which I find ridiculous in its own right. I mean, a pay-per-view named Elimination Chamber with 2 Elimination Chamber matches, one of those being a women's Elimination Chamber for the first time ever, the other being a 7-man Elimination Chamber for the first time ever, and you're ending it with Ronda Rousey? Are you kidding me? That's the best you got? That is the best you got for me. That comes across as ridiculous, and once again comes across as WWE favoring Rousey because of her star power, and this is exactly what the women were mad about at the Royal Rumble, taking the spotlight away from the winner of the Royal Rumble at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, Asuka, and she took the spotlight away, or she's probably going to take the spotlight away from the winner of the first ever women's Elimination Chamber. And by the way, as far as the layout of this pay-per-view goes, I would do it the exact opposite of the way WWE did it at the Royal Rumble. I'd have the men close the pay-per-view, and I would have the women open the pay-per-view like WWE should have done at the Royal Rumble. Instead of having the men's Royal Rumble in the middle of the show and burning out the crowd like it did, have the women's Elimination Chamber start the show. That way they can be back up again by the time the main event rolls around. It just makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't you have it be that way? Why is a goddamn contract signing, unless something huge goes down, which the only thing that's probably going to go down is Ronda and Stephanie getting a little bit physical. I think she needs to do something to fire the people up. I don't think she just needs to point out a sign. I think she needs to take the microphone, maybe reveal that Paul Heyman is going to be her mouthpiece. I think that can be huge. I think you can do some big stuff in this segment. I really do. And I think this is just going to dry the speculation, or is going to confirm the speculation that Ronda will be going into a mixed tag match with Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. I don't think they'll reveal who her partner will be. Then again, maybe they will. Some big stuff can happen during this segment, but that's not to say that it should close the goddamn show. It's called the Elimination Chamber, not the Rousey Rumble or the Rousey Chamber or the Elimination Ronda. It's not called any of that, and it's not called any of that for a reason, and I can tell you what that reason is. Because we came to the show, we want to watch the show to watch wrestling, the actual performers on Monday Night Raw and their wrestling. So get Ronda off the goddamn pay-per-view when she doesn't need to be on the goddamn pay-per-view. Or at least get her off of the main event slot, is what I mean to say. So I think some big stuff is going to happen here. I predict that it will dry the ink on her Monday Night Raw contract, and it will confirm the fact that Ronda will be going into a WrestleMania feud against Stephanie McMahon and Triple H in a mixed tag team matchup. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes down there. and if they'll confirm who Ronda's partner will be at WrestleMania. But then again, watch them have her come out and say that she wants the women's championships at WrestleMania, and that she's challenging Charlotte. I can see something like that totally happening. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we move on here to the Women's Elimination Chamber matchup. I got quite a bit to say about this one. Like I said, I think it should be either Sasha or Bayley coming out. Preferably Bayley getting a fluke win out of nowhere. Why? Because it would make so much sense. Bayley in 2017 was absolutely kicked to the curb in every single way as far as momentum goes. You had her win the Women's Championship during the road to WrestleMania 33, lost it back to Charlotte, won it back, and then you did the garbage where Bayley won the title at WrestleMania 33, lost it like a month later at the Payback pay-per-view to Alexa Bliss. When they had their rematch, got absolutely embarrassed a week before in a This Is Your Life segment where she had absolutely nothing to do to retaliate. They had a kendo stick matchup at Extreme Rules. Again, nothing. Absolutely no retaliation against Alexa Bliss. And Bayley was pretty much buried. She was buried. She got injured. The crowd booed the hell out of her. She came back from injury, got pinned again. She's been in obscurity. Tag teaming with Sasha Banks, pretty much doing nothing, has Bayley. What better way to bring her back from the rubble than to have her win the Women's Championship in the Elimination Chamber in a fluke? I am absolutely over the Women's Championship reign of Alexa Bliss. 2017, WWE was throwing Alexa Bliss everywhere they could. She was in the limelight. It was the year of Bliss. 2016, it was the year of the Queen, Charlotte. 2017 was the year of the Goddess. It's like they can push one woman really well, but everybody else takes a step to the curb, bro. Hopefully this year is the Queen of Asuka, or the year of Asuka. But before Asuka officially takes over everything, why not have it be so you can give Bayley and get Bayley back in a prominent position? Have her win the Women's Championship in this matchup in an absolute fluke. Have her start picking up victories before WrestleMania 34. Have her beat Sasha Banks in the middle of that ring. Final two. Banks, Bayley. I would actually book this matchup to have Alexa Bliss be the first one eliminated. Create a cool atmosphere where it's like, damn, we're going to have a new champion. The women's champion has been eliminated first. There are 5 other women in that ring, and one of them is going to walk out of here new women's champion. That would be cool. I would love to see that, bro. Alexa hasn't defended her title since goddamn October. Why does she still have that strap around her waist? It is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, I would have Bayley win the Women's Championship in a fluke and have it get to Sasha Banks. She couldn't win the Women's Royal Rumble, lasting 55 minutes in there. She could not win it. She went to Monday Night Raw the next night, had a matchup with Asuka. She could not win it. Here is her final chance to get to WrestleMania. She's going to win the Women's Elimination Chamber. First time ever Women's Elimination Chamber. She's going to do it. She could not win it. But who could? At the end of the day, who could? Her best friend, Bayley. And it gets to her. She tries to stay by the side of Bayley for the next 2 weeks. She tries to, but it finally gets to her. She attacks Bayley on Monday Night Raw, going into WrestleMania. She wants a shot at that Women's Championship. She topples Mickie James. She topples Alexa Bliss. She topples, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville in attempt to get to WrestleMania 34 against Bayley. She's the number 1 contender. Here we go. Best friend versus best friend. Bayley feels betrayed. Bayley develops an edge. She develops that attitude towards Sasha Banks that she's been missing. That aggression. She says she's going to bring it at WrestleMania 34. And Sasha Banks is finally going to get vengeance for Bayley, who has one-upped her entire career. Bayley, who's been there when she was about to win the Elimination Chamber. Bayley took that away from her. She had the NXT Women's Championship back at Brooklyn 2 years ago, Bayley took it away from her. Sasha Banks is finally going to get redemption for everything that Bayley took away from her. She brings out that bitch boss, that ratchet Sasha that we used to see in NXT, and we get down to business in this women's division instead of the garbage that we've been seeing as of late. That's what you should do inside the Elimination Chamber. But knowing WWE, we're probably going to go into this pay-per-view. Alexa's somehow going to survive this matchup. Bayley's going to be the first one eliminated for all we know. Sasha will be eliminated by Bliss in easy fashion. Maybe she'll last in there till the final one, but she'll, in the end, be defeated by Alexa Bliss. And there you go with that. So, instead of doing what I want to do, instead of doing the right thing to do, and putting this title on some fresh blood, developing a feud that is actually appealing going into WrestleMania 34, instead of keeping it on Alexa and seeing an awful matchup between her and Nia, who I'm sure would not mix in the ring. I mean, a heel Nia versus a heel Alexa, and it even looks like they're trying to turn Alexa babyface before she goes into that matchup with Nia. Helping out Mickie James on Monday Night Raw. What are they doing with that? Why are all these women teaming up? Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville should be at each other's throats, saying that I'm going to beat you inside of that Elimination Chamber. Same thing with Sasha Banks. It's like Alexa and Mickie. It's Sonya and Mandy, and then it's Bayley and Sasha. Like, no. All 6 of these women should be at each other's throats for that women's championship. At the end of the day, the women's championship doesn't mean anything because they're all going to be holding hands in the middle of the ring, right? How am I supposed to care about this women's championship? What are these women even goddamn fighting for at the end of the day, bro? I don't see anything for them to be fighting for because the women's championship is pretty much worthless. You can give me a sack of potatoes, it'd be worth more than that women's championship. It really would with the way you treat it at this point. You go into the Women's Royal Rumble. Your champion hasn't defended the goddamn championship. She has not even goddamn fought for her own belt for 4 months at this point. Yet you mean to tell me that that women's championship is valuable to you? You want to win that? Who would want to win that? You haven't even defended the goddamn title. It's worth nothing. But that's the type of story WWE wants to tell, right? I'm predicting that Alexa Bliss, if it's WWE booking, Alexa Bliss will win. I want Bayley to win. I want to see that story between Sasha and Bayley going into WrestleMania. But I think WWE is going to have it be that Alexa Bliss is going to win this Elimination Chamber and go on to WrestleMania 34 against Nia Jax. For now, we move on to the men's Elimination Chamber, and there's quite a bit to talk about when it's talking about the men's Elimination Chamber, because with the events that happened on Monday Night Raw, a lot of people have proposed for there to be a certain idea developed with Seth Rollins. Now, clearly, you guys know about what I wanted to do with Braun Strowman. I think Braun Strowman's absolutely the most worthy candidate in that Elimination Chamber. Roman Reigns is the clear favorite to win. I don't want him to win, but he's the favorite. Because the way WWE's positioned him all year is that it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 34. That's been crystal clear since the dawn of WrestleMania 33. Since after WrestleMania 33, that has been cleared. Since pretty much the day afterwards, you knew that the main event of WrestleMania 34 was going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar ran through everybody else. He ran through Strowman, Joe, Styles, Goldberg. He ran through all of them. Who else is left on Monday Night Raw? Absolutely nobody. The only person left is Roman Reigns. Nobody else is legitimate. I mean, Seth Rollins, I don't see him doing anything believable in that ring against Brock Lesnar. Bray Wyatt is a joke. Elias, not at that level yet at all. Finn Balor, again, treated like a joke on Monday Night Raw. So, who is worthy enough, more worthy at least, than Roman Reigns? The way you booked it, it's Roman Reigns. All the way through. Do I want Roman Reigns to be into that position? No. Absolutely not. But the way WWE's booked it, it only makes sense for them to do Roman Reigns, the magical Superman that is Roman Reigns. But, I mean, realistically, you can do so much better than that. you can do so much better than that. And the way they presented themselves on Monday Night Raw allows you to do something so much better than that. For one, you can have Braun Strowman come out the winner. You do the right thing. Braun Strowman is way more legitimate to me than Roman Reigns will ever be. And with how over he is with the WWE audience, I would for sure do Braun Strowman winning the Elimination Chamber. I think that's the best way for you to go at this point. It's Braun Strowman all the goddamn way, as far as how over he is, bro, and how legitimate he is, and the fact that there is story there, the fact that Braun Strowman at the Royal Rumble in that triple threat match with Kane, he was at the end of that saying, "You never pinned me." And realistically, at No Mercy, we never saw the fullest match that we can see out of Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. Well, the fact that that matchup ended in one F5 really limited that matchup so drastically from what it could have been. And again, you did the one F5 thing all year just so you can build to Roman Reigns kicking out of that F5 at WrestleMania 34. It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. But you have one more option. If it's not Roman Reigns, you have one more option that will still get Roman Reigns into that main event of WrestleMania. You can do a double finish somehow with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, the way he's been positioned, or the way he was positioned this Monday night on Monday Night Raw, it got him over again. Seth Rollins was really just floating around for such a long time on Monday Night Raw, realistically doing nothing. That's what Seth Rollins was doing, nothing. But with the performance that he had in that gauntlet match this past Monday night, lasting an hour and 5 minutes, pinning both Roman Reigns and John Cena in that gauntlet matchup, WWE has positioned him to a point where the in-ring work and the quality of his work in that ring on Monday night once again got him over with the crowd, and it reminded people what Seth Rollins was at his peak. His peak was when he won that United States Championship and that WWE Championship from John Cena at SummerSlam. That heel Seth Rollins that was so amazing at what he did. It reminded us what Seth Rollins is, who Seth Rollins can be when he's in between those ropes. That's what Monday night did. He came out the week before and he said, "I want to make this Monday Night Rollins again." And WWE did the right thing because they continued that. It was storyline continuation, whether they realized it or not, because he said he wanted to make Monday Night Rollins. And then what this did is that it solidified to the crowd that Seth Rollins said he wanted to do that, and he actually went out and did it. So many times WWE has these guys come out there and say things and, all right, yeah, you're going to do that, but the next week he comes out and he gets beat. And Seth Rollins came out on Monday Night Raw the week before and he said, "I want to prove that I can be at that main stage. I want to be Universal Champion. I want the show to be all about me." And Seth Rollins, he said that, and the next week he came out and proved that. And there's no better storyline continuation than that. He doesn't just walk the talk, or he doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the talk as well. And that's what Seth Rollins proved to us. And after that, he got over with a lot of people. People were all of a sudden saying, for the first time in a long time, that they want Seth Rollins in that main event of WrestleMania. So if you want to have Roman Reigns win the Elimination Chamber, I would have Roman Reigns win the Elimination Chamber. But the next night, have Seth Rollins come out, bring up the fact that Roman Reigns was beaten by him the week before in that gauntlet matchup. Have Roman Reigns put his opportunity for the Universal Championship on the line, his WrestleMania opportunity on the line. Have Kurt Angle say, "All right, I'm not going to take you out of the WrestleMania matchup and put Rollins in your place if you lose, but Seth Rollins will be added to the WrestleMania matchup if you lose here tonight on Raw." Have Seth Rollins beat Roman Reigns, make it a triple threat, whether it be by some screwy finish or whatever it may be. have Rollins beat Reigns going into WrestleMania 34 and make it a triple threat matchup. Don't just have it be a one-on-one matchup, because realistically, who wants to see Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns in a one-on-one matchup at WrestleMania 34? Who wants to see that? I know I don't. That sounds absolutely awful. It's not going to be the same thing you've seen at WrestleMania 31. There's no Seth Rollins to cash in. So maybe you can have Seth Rollins in that matchup to make it a callback to WrestleMania 31. Have it be an actual triple threat this time around. Have Seth Rollins try to screw Roman Reigns once again out of his Universal Championship opportunity. There's storyline there, because it was Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 34 against Brock Lesnar who made his way into the matchup. Have that be the case again this time around. There's story there to back it up. There's a lot of build around Rollins to back it up, and it makes for a better matchup than Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar would be otherwise. So that's what I would do if all else fails. I still think WWE is going to go with Roman Reigns winning that Elimination Chamber. You can't bet against Roman Reigns. WWE just has that hard on for Roman Reigns. I don't like it. I think Roman Reigns is garbage, and you can't blame me for thinking that, the way they push him down our throats, but that's the way WWE wants it to be, and that's the way it's going to be. So that's it. That's your preview and predictions for the Elimination Chamber. I want a Braun Strowman to win. I'd like for a Seth Rollins to make his way into the matchup, but realistically, what WWE is probably going to go for is what they always go for, the Roman Reigns finish, and we're going to go miserable, at least as far as that matchup goes, into WrestleMania. There's a lot of things WWE can do going into this pay-per-view that would come across as better going into WrestleMania, and this pay-per-view has a lot to do going into WrestleMania, and that's what makes this pay-per-view really important. I like the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view a lot. I think we're going to see some great Elimination Chamber matches at the end of the day, but it depends what WWE is going to do to make this pay-per-view a good one, to make it so the decisions are logical. You can have Nia Jax beat Asuka, but that's going to end in a big rant. That's going to be, as far as good as that match is, it's going to be ridiculous if you go with that route. You can have Roman Reigns win the Elimination Chamber, but make it, something that we can sink our teeth into. It's probably not going to be. That's probably going to end in a rant anyways, even though we know that's what's going to happen. But realistically, what are you going to do about it, bro? What are you going to do about it? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be all for now on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. That is your Elimination Chamber preview and predictions. I hope you enjoyed each and every single thing that you heard here. Leave it in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to win all these matches? Do you even care who's going to win all these matches? Did you like this video? Make sure to tell me all that good stuff. Hit that like button. Hit that dislike button if you want. It all helps out. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel for all of the content that you hear each and every single week on this YouTube channel. So make sure to do all that, because for now, this has been Joel Perez of Ringside Wrestling Entertainment, and for now, I am out of here. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. I will see you next time right here on Ringside Wrestling.